It's the 28th of October, and here we are with the portfolio. I'm going to do something crazy today, Stu. Something really, really crazy. I'm going to sell Nvidia. We've only had it for 1 day, or 1 month rather, but we're going to sell it, and I'll tell you why. So this is our monthly update of our portfolio. Real money that we're involving now. The BizNews reserves have been put in there. I was quite happy to see that in the Shyft portfolio, we'll talk about that one as well. Our reserves that we invested there have more than doubled. How cool is that, Stu?
It's always good to hear, Alec, when you put a double there.
I put a double in. It'll be 4 years in December, so we got 2 months to go to get to when we started, and wasn't that disastrous? But what did it teach you? What did our Shyft portfolio teach you?
My lesson from there, Alec, is hold. Don't run away if your first 3 months are down, 40%? Hold. And it comes through at the end.
Hey, and there were some people who were really panicking. I was getting emails from people, what are you doing? I just put my last saving. Well, not really. I followed you, and now we're down 40%, and the market's crashing. And yeah, to me, it's all about time in the market. But now, and usually to buy forever. But I'm selling Nvidia today, and there's a very good reason for it. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But of course, more importantly, we need to find out that the tech's right.
Excellent. Thank you, Alec. For those new to the webinar, there is a little chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. We do try to keep it conversational. Alec will run through the portfolio, but please put your questions in that chat box and I'll get them through to Alec. And if you can see Alec and myself on screen and hear my voice coming through loud enough, there's a little raise button on the bottom there. You can give me a high five or a thumbs up, or you can respond on the chat group. There we go, Alec. We've got thumbs up all over the screen. It's fantastic.
Brilliant. Okay, so we do look a little like space creatures with these headphones on and microphones in our faces. Afternoon to you too, Dewald, by a donkey, man. And Dewald knows how to send in his comments. And of course, the comments are picked up by our producer, our technical producer, Ruan Erasmus, who's in the back end of the studio, and then he'll flash them on screen for you. So if you want to be remembered, posterity, then just give us a comment, and you can pose your questions there as well. That's the way it works. The questions come through, Stu picks them up, Ruan also picks them up, and then I do my best to answer. But as per usual, it's so cool now to do the portfolio, because in the past, I was actually saying to Jeanette this morning, in the past, I used to spend hours putting together those Excel spreadsheets and, how have we done and what's the percentage and where's the compound annual growth. And now all you do is you click a few buttons, as we're going to do now, and then you share screens, and we're going to start off with the BizNews portfolios button on the website. So, of course, we often do have a few problems with this. I'm just going back to BizNews, the home page. Stu, can you see this okay?
It's all good, Alec. I don't know if you can zoom in a bit because it's got the white on the sides still. It's quite evident.
Okay, there we go. How's that? A bit better.
Perfect.
Okay, all right. Okay, so go to BizNews, go to the homepage. As a premium member, you look along the top. And by the way, if you aren't a premium member, just click there now, and that will tell you how to become a premium member. 150 a month, 1440, you pay 120 a month. That's the way to do it. Otherwise, you go to this thing here, this button here with the lock, which is for premium members only. It's called BN Portfolios. You click on that, and then down you go. And you know what's so cool about this is that it changes all the time. So it's updated. There's the Ricardo portfolio in rands. That's up 2.6%. The Ricardo portfolio in US dollars, up 3.2%. Yeah, we've done okay, eh? Sheepers. And then that's only in a month. Imagine you do that every month. Let's just think about that. That's 36. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And then here's the Shyft portfolio This is the one that I'm excited about, as I was mentioning to Stuart right in the beginning. And the Shyft portfolio, as you can see, has now doubled in US dollars. We had 30,000 US dollars. We've now got 60,000 US dollars. And in Rand terms, we've gone from 463,000 Rand in total. Remember, we invested in 3 tranches, and that's now just over $1 million. So, lekker news on all of those. One other last thing here, which does help you if you are really interested in what's going to happen in the or what has happened, for instance, in ASML, which delivered its financial results a couple of weeks ago, and the share price did well. Well, you can click on that button that I've just shown you, and it'll take you into this page of ASML Holdings on Google Finance, and you can then read what all the experts have got to say. Motley Fool says, is ASML a buy? We click on that. There's Motley Fool, and they will tell you. I think you just accept their, oh, look at that. When you go ahead and you accept things, suddenly you start getting the adverts. But you know what I'm talking about. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to use BizNews and to then be in a position where you can go forward into understanding better exactly how to invest in your portfolio and to follow it. That's what it's all about. It's all about financial education, if you like. Okay, so let's kick off with the Shyft portfolio. You can see that. You can see it through the day on how it's performing. But to go into Shyft itself, I'm going to have to, sorry, of course, first of all, Stu, I'm going to have to share a screen again. So let's share the screen with the Shyft online. There we go. Okay, can you see this one well enough?
That's good. Thanks, Alec.
Right. You log in, enter your password. I'm going to give you my password just in case somebody goes and plays around with it. Sign in. There we go. And there's the Shyft portfolio. And here is the South African portfolio. Now, if you recall, when we invested on the Shyft on the South African side, you can remember from what we were looking at just a moment ago on the BizNews portfolio, the South African Shyft portfolio makes up about 40% of the total, with 60% invested in equities from the United States. So the 40% that we've invested in South Africa has done pretty well, courtesy of this company, Purple Group. It had a bit of a tough month, by the way, Purple, down by 15% in the past month. It might have been a result of getting a little ahead of itself. We saw 121% up, so nobody's complaining from our side. But the share price, and this is also quite, let me just see if we can get this, and it helps you. There we go. You can have a look at what happened there. The share price really ran from 225 on the 27th. Sorry, that's today's. It's 3 day. Sorry, my apologies. Okay, so there we go. In the last month, you can see it's gone from 260 down to the current 224. But if you click on that, in the last 3 months, it's come from 170. So it's still a long way better than where it was. Now, what happened was that Purple released its financial results. Initially, there was, I suppose, a little bit of a dip, as you can see straight after there. These were the results for the year to end August. But on further assessment, there was some concern about the margin compression because of rising costs. And rising costs that came through were due to higher than anticipated by investors anyway, investment community, investments in tech, big investments in compliance, investment in staff, and also a little concern about a slowdown in the growth numbers, in the growth metrics. Those are the reasons that I get from people in the market on why they allowed this company's share price to come down in the past month. I'm not too concerned about it because, as you saw on the 3-month graph, This really has been a fantastic run-up to the results, so we can't really complain too much about that. And we also know that looking ahead, if you do the data, if you do the cohorts correctly, Easy Equities or Purple Capital is on the right path. So it's on the right trajectory, and it really has got a very bright future ahead of it. I wonder whether we aren't also seeing something here about the scourge of online betting, because I'm hearing more and more that online betting is affecting every consumer-facing business in South Africa. They're taking out of the market billions and billions of rands, and that just goes straight out. The punting, when people bet, just remember, I was thinking about it myself the other day, because as a young guy, I used to love betting on the horses. And in a way, it's not a bad thing to bet on the horses with hindsight, because at least you're supporting grooms, you're supporting tote operators, you're supporting trainers and jockeys, and it's a whole industry that goes around it. Whereas online betting is no industry. You put the money in, it leaves the country to go and get put on the front of the Brenthurst. What's it? Is it Brentford? Brentford's football shirt. Just hate that. I think Liverpool supporters hate them. West Ham supporters even more. Yeah. But anyway, it's or you get adverts all over Durban Airport, King Sharko, Hollywood Bets. Now it's taken over Cape Town as well. Where do they get the money from? Well, they get the money from people who are investing in betting. And I think at some point in time, somebody somewhere has got to say, hang on a minute, this is not a productive for the economy. At least with casinos, there are people working there. But with online betting, okay. Again, we do know that that's affecting many consumer-facing businesses, and I guess Easy Equities might be seeing the same impact. It's possible. It's possible that they aren't having the growth that they used to have from 2020 to 2022, because some of that money, or a big chunk of that money, is going off. I suppose it also reflects a inability of the population to think long term and to just, or maybe desperation. Let's just have a punt, because we know that mathematically, when you go to, I can remember someone saying to me, when you go to the horse races, just have a look at that car park over there where the bookmakers park, and that's where you'll find the Mercedeses and the BMWs and the Porsches, and then have a look at that car park where the public park, and there you'll find the Buckies and the old Skadonks and so on. Now, who's the winner in this game? People don't go into online betting businesses to lose. It's the whole system is actually structured against the punter. So just remember that. But anyway, I'm preaching to the converted here. The point is, when we move into the impact that this is happening on consumer-facing businesses, I'm wondering whether there isn't some kind of an impact on Purple Capital as well. Let's go back into that portfolio. Sorry, Stu.
Alec, I just quickly on Purple, they haven't mentioned anything about the Philippines. I know that was a big proponent a couple of years ago, but there's been no movement.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? There've been many exciting opportunities into the future, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure that investors are just backing them in South Africa, because that easily covers the cost of all your investment right now. But they do, you're right, they are expanding elsewhere, and perhaps that offshore investment is taking a bit longer. Well, it has. Charles Savage told us it is taking longer than we thought. Process has done well in the past month. The company has once again had some good news coming through with the takeover of Just Eat. That's all now bedding down nicely. I must tell you, Stu, I'm very impressed with the new CEO of Process Naspers. He is an entrepreneur. He's from that market. The feedback we're getting on where Process has made its big bet, which is on food delivery, is that is now starting to really come into its own. What happened with food delivery, a little bit like semiconductors actually, went crazy in COVID, then eased off significantly, but is now back in that long-term trend. And anyway, Process in the last month has done a little bit better, not hugely, but it's up 43% in this portfolio, in the Shyft portfolio. Then we look at the rest. Sasol's been kind of bumping all over the place. Pick n Pay had a very positive response ahead of its financial results, as you can see from the graph that's on screen now. I hope you can see from the graph that's on screen. Yep. It's clear enough. Yep. Very positive reaction ahead of results. I had a chat with Sean Summers yesterday. You can go and watch that interview. Really, it's a good interview and well worth, a good interview from the information that is coming out of it. And Sean always is very forthcoming. And you will see there that things are really turning around as far as the rump of Pick n Pay is concerned. But he says that this increase in the share price was due to Boxer, of which Pick n Pay owns 65%. But Pick n Pay itself has cut its losses from R1 billion to 300 million rand in the comparable period. So that's going in the right direction. So that was one of the big movers in the past month. Another big mover in the past month was Afrimat. They are starting to get their act together. That's, you can see the share price graph there as well, up from 38 bucks to peaking above 44 rand in the past month. And that was after the release of financial results this week, which were met with great enthusiasm by the Afrimat supporters. They are getting their act together on the cement side. So it's actually turning from being an iron ore producer. Well, it started off doing bulk materials primarily for construction, and then added iron ore. Now it's added cement. So it's become more of an industrial products producer, and doing good stuff is Afrimat. We went into that share because we really do like the management. It's a management that is tried and tested, and it's still offering very good value. As you can see in the Shyft portfolio, we bought in there at 20% higher than the current share price. Also in the Shyft portfolio, when we go onto the other side, the US dollars, please ignore the purchase prices here. There's been a few adjustments and so on. But if we just have a look at the overall portfolio value of 36,591, you can see that is a very good performance, generally speaking. And we've done pretty well on all of them. The best of them, of course, being Palantir, which continues to get better, stronger and stronger, despite the concerns that people have that it's overdone its run. We bought in, you remember, $8 a share, under $10 a share. So we were very early to the party on this one, and it's been a phenomenal success. So thank you, Palantir, and long may you continue to deliver great results for shareholders. Okay, so that's our story on the Shyft portfolio. I wanted to just mention on the Easy Equities portfolio, I'm still battling a little bit to get the numbers or to get the access. Shyft, I know I've been using that portfolio for a while now, but not so with Easy Equities. So if there's a little bit of a glitch along this side, please forgive me. We're logging in here. We have, it's called Aurelius Media 1, the first portfolio. There's another one which is in my name, which we'll go into in a moment. The first, the Ricardo portfolios. Now, this is important because this is our Rand portfolio. So we are going to now invest in the basket. And the basket you should be able to find in
Alec,
your...
you're not showing your screen. Sorry, I thought
I'm not
coming up. So, yeah.
Good. It's really and truly. Okay. My apologies. Okay, I suppose let's get on to Stu. I hope this is the right one. Here we go. Okay, apologies. Okay, so there's our screen. This is the Ricardo portfolio. Can you see it okay, Stu?
Again, if you can just zoom in a bit, Alec, but it's there. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So what usually happens is when you click Invest Now, you'll be able to go down the screen, and what will come up is a tab which says portfolios inspired by people like you, or something along those lines, and it's called baskets. For some reason, I haven't been able to get that right on mine, but and we have got the easy guys working on it. But as you go down there, this is what will come up. This screen here. Okay. And then you go into the screen of the basket. And what we're going to do today on this basket, on the South African basket, is we're going to buy max. It's only buying 9,800 Rand. That's because of the basket fee and because we've had some, remember we put 20,000 Rand in here. So now it's as simple as that. We're going to buy it in the weightings that we have allocated to the stocks in this basket. We're going to click on buy now, and it's done. It's that simple. It's that easy and that simple. So I'm very happy to tell you that those, and what happens this month is 816 Rand and 85 cents is going to be invested in each of the constituents of the baskets. Let me just quickly go through one of the stocks in the basket that is worth talking about, and that's this one, Sabvest. Sabvest has done particularly well in the past month. Actually, we should do it differently. Hey, we should go and have a look at the portfolio, and you can then see exactly how the portfolio has performed. As long you can still see everything, Stu, on your side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's all there, Alec. Yeah.
All right, and then when you Stu.
Now, if you click on the ZAR, so just scroll a bit, Alec, down, and you click on the Easy Equities ZAR. Yeah, there.
This one here.
Yeah, that should show all your constituents.
Great, thank you.
And
then all holdings. Okay. And there we go. Ah, I see we've just invested. It's already done the investment in some of those very quick. Okay, so as you can see here, Afrimat in this portfolio is actually in profit. Capitec doing very nicely as well in profit. Remember, we've just bought a second tranche. So it would have done twice as well if we hadn't bought on the percentage basis. But we're 145 Rand up, so that's cool. The second tranche on both of those, we would have paid a little bit more. But you'll be able to pick that up when we update the portfolios on the BizNews Premium side. On the EC10, which is Easy Equities' portfolio investing in cryptocurrency, we're a little bit down. Lusaka, a little bit down. New Gold, now up a little. Orion, that's kind of all over the place. Don't worry about that. It's a penny stock at the moment. Pick n Pay doing well for us. Process up slightly. Purple down slightly. Remgro up slightly. And here's Sabvest. Now, Sabvest is up 3.5% at the moment. It was up 7%. And there's an interesting story there. A guy called Leon Ruet is the reason why Sabvest has picked up 7% in the past month. He's a director of the company, and he bought a substantial number of shares in mid-October. Insider buying is one of the strongest signals for any investment fundi. They love to see the directors of companies buying them. And in the olden days, they never had to disclose it. But now, to have full disclosure for shareholders, if insiders are buying or selling shares in the company, they have to report it. And this is a very, very useful tool. Leon joined the board of Sabvest. I did a bit of research into why it was so important. He joined the board as an executive director alongside the CEO and founder Chris Seabrook and the CFO Carl de Mateus in 2019. So he's been there for 6 years. and he knows what's going on. He serves on a number of other boards as well, an alternate to Seabrook on ARB Holdings, which is one of Sabvest's biggest stocks. And he's a lawyer. He worked at Worksmans before going across to Sabvest. He also worked at Cliff Decker and KPMG. He's got an LLB. His expertise is in commercial structuring. So lawyers tend not to lose or waste their money. They are very careful about what they do. Here's an insider who's been buying shares in Sabvest, and well, the market likes it. Sabvest, of course, is a stock that is still trading very, very cheap. It's about 5 price to earnings. So essentially, you buy the shares today, you wait 5 years, you got all your money back. It's that kind of when you use those metrics, that's really what you're talking about. We Buy Cars has been under a bit of pressure. It had a bad day today, down 12% after a trading update was released. I'm not too worried about it. It is a company that we have bought for the long term. And actually, I'm quite delighted that don't tell that to anybody, but I'm quite delighted that the share price went down because it timed it really nicely for us. We are buying it a little bit cheaper, buying it 12% cheaper than had we had this webinar yesterday. So anyway, that's the way the baskets work. The investments have been made. We've invested now just over 20,000 Rand, which is what we put in. And so we'll put another 10,000 Rand in next month and ahead of the time. And I suggest you do that as well. Put the money in ahead of the time. And then on the day of the webinar, if you want to have exactly the same returns that we have, then you'll be able to see it there. The other portfolio, and here's where I'm going to need a little bit of help, I think, Stu. So I'm stopping sharing there. I'm going to go back now and share the other Easy Equity side because we've got Easy Equities in 2. All right, I'm sharing that one now as well. You can see that. Log in. We've got this in a different. We've got this in a different login because we want to keep the rands on the one side and the US dollars on the other side. So let me try that again. The beauty of live presenting, live broadcasting. Okay, let's go back in on Easy Equities Home, and hopefully this is going to allow us to. Yep, it will. Alec Hogg. As you can see, we got a whole bunch of accounts with Easy, including Jeanette's account. She's following the portfolio as well. Stu, I'm not winning on this one, it doesn't seem, because I'm now still going in there. I don't know if you're able to advise me on how we can get into the other portfolio.
Alec, I'm not sure on if the login details are taking you into that one. I'm not sure.
Okay.
See now.
That's what they're doing. All right, I'll keep trying in the background. Maybe we can start. I'll keep trying in the background, and maybe we can start with some questions, and then I'll see in the background if I can manage to pull some of the to actually get the login to the US equities account.
Alec, just on the reason for the 2 accounts, I think if anyone does come in with a business account, they don't allow for the foreign exchange. I think that was one of the issues with that. That's why you have to do the US dollar in your personal account.
Okay, so my personal account then is where the dollar. Okay, thanks, Stu.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, do we have any questions?
Yeah, Kevin just wants to know if we are on the Ricardo platform, so the baskets. How do we tie up on the Shyft platform?
On the Ricardo, no, they're different portfolios. The Shyft one was a portfolio that we started. If you recall, it was done in nearly 4 years ago, and it was a one-off. Well, we had $10,000, $10,000, $10,000. So it's a very different portfolio. Ricardo is monthly investments, so they are completely different. What I would recommend is that if you want to replicate the Shyft portfolio, then open an account in Shyft because some of the stocks are different on those two portfolios, on the two platforms anyway, and then you can replicate it from there. On Easy Equities, it's specifically selected so that you can put in a monthly investment.
Alex, just on Shyft, the Shyft doesn't have the fractional option yet either. Isn't that one of the advantages with the Ricardo side?
That is, and Shyft is all about the Shyft portfolio is all about getting it's a bulk investment. It's a one-off time, so you are actually sending or giving yourself you're hoping that the time that you buy is going to be the right time, and of course we never know that. We can never ever tell that. So I'm afraid that's the trade-off on that one. Whereas with the Ricardo portfolio, we're buying it on a monthly basis.
Thanks, Alec. Serena just wants to know, what is your view on taking some profit on Palantir? It's very lofty. Been following their news deals. I know it is all profit based on us selling what it cost us. However, if pullback will come off sharply, thoughts?
Serena, what we did with Palantir, because it's very hard, and you're dead right. When you logically, you would not be buying Palantir at the share price today if you were looking at where it's come from. However, what we did with Palantir, now I'm talking about the Shyft portfolio, was that we bought at $8 and then we got to, I think it was around $60. And we said, yeah, this is just crazy. It's already gone up, nearly 5 times. Sorry, more than 5 times, nearly 10 times. So we just don't know what's going to happen next. So let's actually bank the money we put in and bank a bit of profit and then just let it ride. And we did. So we sold half until it went up to over $100. And at that stage, I said, well, look, I don't know where this thing's going or what's happening here. But again, we sold half. So we sold half and then half again. And so the idea being what we leave in there, and we did the same thing with Nvidia. What we leave in there, we don't touch. We just let it run. Now, we did that with Nvidia with the old, it's getting complicated, with the old web trader portfolio. But with Palantir, what we've got in Palantir in the Shyft portfolio, just leave it. Just let it run. Unless and that's what we're doing anyway. But unless you need the money or you're finding a better alternative somewhere else, what we're doing in that portfolio, because I can tell you, we would have sold out at $100 or $110 and not $180. And who knows? Remember, it's a fantastic business. It's got a bit of a monopoly in its area. It's very strong in the practical implementation of AI for companies and for defense forces. It's playing a huge role in Ukraine and also played quite a big role in the Middle East. And it's unashamed in that way. So Palantir is a business that it's using AI in a practical manner. And that is something that, I don't know, if you've got ethical concerns about it, if you really believe in it, or if you politically have got different views, I just find the world so complicated that I don't even have any views anymore on who's right. Well, I know autocrats I believe that autocrats and people who have, like this latest guy in Ivory Coast is now just 83 and he's just won an election because he's basically sidelined anybody who could challenge him. So anybody who had a chance, including Tiam, who used to be the CEO of Credit Suisse, he's an Ivorian and he wanted to stand for president. And the guy said, no, you've got a dual citizenship with France. So you can't stand. It's just, anyway, it is what it is. And that kind of guy doesn't get my vote. And Ivory Coast, I'm afraid, as long as the voters tolerate those kind of people, good luck to them. But when you have a look at the world, the rest of the world, it's hard to read. Is Donald Trump a superstar genius or a charlatan fool? Probably somewhere in between the two. And that's often we like to be caught up in the media hype and so on. So I stay away from that and I just say, this is a good business. It's an incredible business. They built this business for the future years and years and years ago. And now the future has arrived and they are benefiting from it. Where it goes to from here, I guess that's anybody's guess. So with Palantir, what we've got there, I'm staying with it. What we're doing in the Ricardo portfolio, we are buying monthly. So if the share price were to fall dramatically, we would be buying more shares for the investment that we're making.
Alec, if you zoom out as well, so I see the Palantir market cap is about 450 billion, and you hear of billion, you hear $4 trillion stocks. I mean, it's not far-fetched to think not that it goes there, but there is that room for things to go. If, despite the share price, it's gone up a lot, it sort of distracts you from the bigger picture.
Yeah. It's a very confusing world that we live in. And we need to see the world as it is, not as we want it to be when we start with investing. And the second thing is that just remember Socrates' very, very wise words when he said the beginning of wisdom is wonder. And what he meant by that was that realizing, oh, I didn't know that. And actually, you don't know a hell of a lot because there is so much in the world. And that's from his times, 2,000 years ago. Imagine how much more complicated it is today. So just treat the world with wonder and keep an open mind. And I'm sure that the benefits will accrue.
Sean just wants to know your current view on Blue Label.
Yeah, I quite like it. I had a nice interview with Brett Levy. Really nice interview. If you haven't watched it, go along to BizNews TV. He's matured. I suppose we all do. He was the youngest CEO. I think he was 28 years old when they listed. And they come through the fire, those two, Brett and Mark. And it looks like they've positioned themselves very well for the future. Going back to what they were doing previously, which is leveraging the Blue Label platform into all these big opportunities that they've got. And when you go across to Cell C, which they will be listing separately, they'll be well rewarded for all the effort that they've put into that one. So it's, if you've done your homework and you know the company, that's what investing is all about. Understand what it is that you're buying. I think this is the big thing that is so important, is just really, really understand, do the research, read the annual reports, watch our podcasts on these CEOs. Be sure that you understand the underlying drivers of that business in the same way as if you were to buy a private company. I often suggest to people, just think of buying the corner cafe around, or buying a steak in the corner cafe around the corner from where you are. If you looked at that and you said, I've been going here for a long time, I do think that I'll keep going there. They have good service. They have good products. If I were to invest here, how long into the future would I be comfortable making the investment, knowing that it'll still be around then? And that's your PE ratio, your price to earnings ratio. So if you want to buy into a business, think of it as being a part owner. So you're the part owner in the corner cafe, or you're the part owner in Palantir, even though you've only got 100 shares out of gazillion. You're the part owner in that business. Think of it in the same way as you would with the guy who's trying to sell you a slug of his little operation around the corner. That's the way to look at investing.
Thanks, Alec. I know Sassel's in the Shyft portfolio, but Jenny wants to know why you don't like Sassel anymore. She's wondering.
We bought it cheap, Jenny. It's Sassel's a trading stock. I'm sorry, it's like gold. You never own gold shares forever, and Sassel's very similar to that. It was just incredibly cheap, and we bought it in around 60 Rand, and now it's over 100 Rand, and it's still cheap in relative terms. Remember, the reason why Sasol was so cheap was because new management team had come in. They weren't being given the benefit of the doubt by the market. Also, there'd been it'd been a bad run for the company. They'd made some really dumb decisions. The new guys, and that's why I just liked what Simon Beloy had to say. He said, well, we're steadying the ship. We've got a good business here. We've got good technology. We've got a link to the Rand oil price. We've also got a good business in the United States. I like that about them too, given the way that Trump is protecting U.S. businesses, and they're a huge investor there. The year that they invested in Lake Charles, they were the biggest foreign investor into the U.S. Can you believe it? And, well, they only own 50% of that because they had to borrow a lot of money to make it happen. And then there were cost overruns and all kinds of things. But that's ancient history. That's behind now. They still have 50% of that big chemical plant. So, yeah, I like Sasol, but I certainly, at 60 Rand or 100 Rand, it's a different proposition.
Thanks, Alec. I know you're still trying to get the US dollar portfolio in, but Serena wants to know, you mentioned you are going to sell Nvidia and your reasons why.
Yes. Okay, let's why don't we just do that? And I'm sure at some point in time either we won't get in, but you can get into your own portfolio. So we're going to change that basket. Point one, Teledyne, which is now in the portfolio. So it's in the US dollar portfolio at Easy Equities. We are going to now make an investment there. When I looked at the portfolio, the one thing that struck me in the past month was this. There was a huge transaction that was announced between Alphabet, my favorite company, my absolute favorite company. It's known as Google. A huge transaction between Alphabet and a company called Anthropic. Now, we've all heard of ChatGPT, but the closest rival to ChatGPT is Anthropic. It's the number 2 in that area. And Anthropic has done a deal with Alphabet, with Google, to buy Alphabet's chips. They're called tensor processing units. But these are direct competitors to the GPUs that NVIDIA's had. So now just step back a little bit. NVIDIA has had a lockhold, a monopoly on the AI semiconductor market. You needed semiconductor chips, you went to NVIDIA. Even the Chinese, they had to go to NVIDIA. And it's got this new one called Blackwell, which is an upgrade. So that's NVIDIA. NVIDIA's the place to be. As long as it's the monopolist, good times. But suddenly, a very powerful company, a $1 trillion business, $2 trillion business called Alphabet, has developed its own semiconductor, its own AI alternative to the NVIDIA GPUs, and it's just struck a multi-billion-dollar deal with one of the big players in artificial intelligence. That waves flags for me, many flags. NVIDIA is priced for perfection. It's priced like ASML, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And if perfection does not continue and the monopoly does not continue, it will be priced differently. I'm not saying that NVIDIA's days are over or that the price is going to collapse or anything like that, but certainly if it's suddenly got a very serious competitor, as it now has, as we've now learned only in the past month through this Anthropic deal with Google, well, you've got to look at it in a different light. It doesn't mean that Google is going to be, or Alphabet is going to be bigger than NVIDIA in semiconductors, but it does mean that it's got a very strong alternative to it. I will also just like to mention why this makes Alphabet an even more exciting opportunity and why it is my favorite stock of the moment. Alphabet has got Gemini, which, okay, the market doesn't agree because the market puts ChatGPT or OpenAI as the number 1 in artificial intelligence, Anthropic as number 2, and Gemini as number 3. But to me, Gemini that's the player when it comes to agents on artificial intelligence. I prefer it to the other two, and there are reasons that have been articulated a few times. So, but it's the investment I'm making, and that's the investment I'm doing. You can't invest in Anthropic, and you can't invest in OpenAI at the moment as members of the public. Of course, the big private equity firms can, but not us. So that's the starting point. Also, Alphabet is now moving into, has been moving into infrastructure on AI. You do know that Google Cloud is a big competitor, and quite a few people who are in cloud. If I'm sitting in a big corporate, and I remember the problems that Amazon had this month. Remember, it went down for a whole day, and that knocked out some of the big. I know our accounting system Xero was out. You couldn't get into Xero because it's in the cloud and it's in Amazon, on Amazon Web Services. So you got to now start thinking to yourself, if you Xero, we better have some kind of redundancy. Maybe who didn't go down? Google Cloud didn't go down. So that's one to consider there. But Google Cloud is growing and it's doing well, and it's certainly not going backwards on that front. And the results come out tomorrow, actually, from Alphabet, and the analysts are expecting that you'll see growth of about just under 30% in Google Cloud. That's big. These are big numbers. But now suddenly, not just are they at the agent, and not just are they in the cloud area, but they're also playing in hardware. So they're making chips. They're making semiconductors at Google, top end semiconductors. And so it's giving them three options, three alternatives, three ways to play. And that gives them an advantage over everybody else who's in artificial intelligence. So that's why it's my favorite stock. Those earnings tomorrow, Google has run, it's up 8% in the past month. So, sorry, I keep calling it Google. It's Alphabet, even though the abbreviation on the stock market is GOOG. But anyway, we'll see what comes out tomorrow. But it remains my favorite stock. One other thing on that, by the way, is that when AI came along, there were concerns that Google search, which was for long the cornerstone of Alphabet's income, of its revenues, that Google search was going to fall over, which seems to make sense because you're not going to go on Google search anymore. You're going to ask an AI agent to give you the answer. Well, what appears to have happened is that people are still using Google search because Google's now integrated AI into its search and giving you different and better results. So we'll know more about that tomorrow. But this story with Anthropic, you got to look at Nvidia differently. On the other hand, what about ASML? That's up 9% in the past month. Now, ASML is a little bit like Nvidia in that it's got a stranglehold on the machines that make the semiconductors. Okay, so you imagine that Nvidia makes these fancy semiconductors, and ASML makes the machines that lithography machines. It's a long story, and I've been reading books on a book on it, and it's highly sophisticated. Now the semiconductor chips are we think in millimeters. They talk about micromillimeters or NMs, and it's now gone down from 3 nm to 2 nm. So it's a 50% decline in the size of the chip. These are fraction, like smaller than a hair, from what I understand. And that's the new generation. And in the most recent financial results from ASML a couple of weeks ago, they said that they've never had such high orders, and this is what it's all about. If their customers, who are TSMC, in Taiwan, who make semiconductors, Intel, and so on, if those guys are ordering from ASML, if they're doing well, that means they're ordering from ASML. And if they're ordering a new line of product from ASML, which this is, it's a whole new innovation, a new range, well, then that's very good news for ASML, which is the monopolist. It supplies all the machines. It's based in the Netherlands, and everybody seems to be quite happy to have a supplier of this critical global product from the Netherlands, because it's, I don't know, independent or non-aligned, whatever. But new orders, the consensus of Wall Street was that they would be posting new orders of $5 billion. They actually came out at $9.9 billion. And of course, that sent the share price running. So ASML, different story, sticking with it. Nvidia, not so good. We're out.
Alec, just on the Nvidia with the baskets, the people need to sell the Nvidia if they want to follow your. They've got to sell the Nvidia constituents. It won't sort of do it when you sell it.
No, well, we can't sell it now because the market's not open in the United States, and I'm really sorry that just for some reason I can't get in. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure that'll get sorted out pretty quickly. I'm almost certainly it's something to do on my side, that my machine or my login credentials or something are taking me to the wrong account, because they both seem to be taking me to the Rand account. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm not going to fight about anything there. But what I would say on this is that when you go into your portfolio, just have a look. There's 20. I don't even know well, why don't we do it this way? We just go into the BizNews portfolios. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. Okay, I'll rather take it that way. Sorry, Stu. I'm not sure why I can't get in through Easy Equities, but as I say, it's almost certainly something on my side.
You could try an incognito web page, Alex, because it might be just keep on going in with the same credentials. But yeah, I'm just trying to
it could be something along those lines. But anyway, here we have the here we have the Ricardo portfolio. Can you see that one, Stu?
Yes, very well. Thanks, Alec.
Okay. So if you have a look here, we've got Alphabet, Amazon, ASML, Berkshire, a Bitcoin Trust, Meta Platforms, Nvidia. So what you will do is tonight, if you're going to follow, you're going to sell those Nvidias, the 0.5570 Nvidias, which have cost $103, and you're going to use that $103 to buy Teledyne Technologies, which we are adding to the portfolio. Okay, so it's really that simple. Let me just try this in case for some reason it works. There we go. How beautiful. Okay, so you can see the here is the portfolio. So what we're going to have to do here is to go into Nvidia on this one. And we're going to have, there we go. We're going to sell. We're going to have to go into the main account, into the actual portfolio. You see, now that takes me back to the Rand portfolio. So that's why I'm a little bit confused about what's going on here. You see, I'm the confused one. There's nothing wrong with easy. I'm the confused guy. Here we go. Okay. Can you see this, Stu? Can you see this on your screen? Good. All right. So now there we go. So you just go into your portfolio, US equities, USD portfolio. And as you go down there, you will see all holdings. So into all holdings, and on Nvidia, you go down to Nvidia and you sell, click sell. Of course, we can't do it now because the market's closed. We're going to sell at the open, and we sell 100% at best. Sell at open, proceeds estimated $106. There it is. Your sell order's been placed. We'll take care of the rest. And so once you've got those $106, then you can go back into the portfolio, and you're going to then purchase Teledyne. I hope that all makes sense for whatever the amount of money is that you want. Okay. And from next month, we will be in a position to take Nvidia out of the portfolio and put Teledyne in. My apologies for being a little confused, but
Alec, what you can also do on there, because it takes a while for once you've informed Easy, they'll re-manage the basket. But if someone wants to buy the basket now, you can uncheck Nvidia on the basket yourself, so it doesn't rebuy it. But obviously, because it doesn't happen immediately.
All right, so let's see exactly what Stu's talking about, which is let's share that screen. Okay, here we go. Easiest way that I've found to get the basket is to go through the BizNews side, and there's your basket, your constituents. So what you're saying, Stu, is that you.
So like I'm on the BN portfolio. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. So what you would do there is the constituents of the basket. So actually, what we're going to do is we're going to tonight we're going to do this. We're going to switch off all of these, and then we're going to buy Teledyne down the bottom. And there it is. That's what we'll do. So we will then invest in Teledyne. Why Teledyne? It's a defense technology focused stock, a company, fantastic company. Go and do your research on it. I'm sure you will agree with me when you've done that. But what Stu is saying, if you haven't bought into the portfolio or into the basket yet, all you would do is you would unclick Nvidia here on the screen. I hope that's clear enough. There is Nvidia. So you do your purchase, but you just unclick Nvidia and then have your purchase, make your purchase there, however many dollars you want to put into it. Okay. Does that make sense, Stu?
No, that's perfect, Alec. I know we're almost at the top of the hour. Kevin just wanted to know, with Nvidia, are you also going to sell it on the Shyft portfolio?
It's not in the Shyft portfolio.
Not in the Shyft portfolio. Okay.
No. If you recall, it was in the web trader portfolio, and we never bought it into the Shyft portfolio. Because at the time we started thinking about putting it into the Shyft portfolio, it really had a heck of a run. And hindsight is an exact science. Of course, we could have put it back in, but it was too late. But we had Nvidia. We had Palantir, so that's good enough.
Brilliant. Alec, just one more question from Sean. He just wants to know if will Alphabet and Google use TSMC to manufacture the chips they design?
I don't know. I really haven't got a clue. All I know is that they've got their chips, and their chips are awesome. And who knows? Maybe they're going to use, or maybe they use Intel. And we must find out. I'm sure it's no secret. Perhaps they'll use Intel. Perhaps they'll even use Samsung. Samsung are putting together that huge factory now in Texas to manufacture chips for Elon Musk. So it's a whole ecosystem. And what's interesting is you got AI, which is just a massive area that we all need to learn about, because it's like when the guys were all in their horse and carts, along came motor vehicles, and very few of the new motor vehicle companies actually made money. Very few of them survived. Here we have a situation in AI where it's a little bit different, in that there are the big players who are involved there. But again, all new technologies, it's very, very hard to pick the winners. But the market, they won't stop people from trying. And so the market is trying to pick winners. And at the moment, the market's picking winners in certainly in Nvidia. That's the big winner. But often, if you read that book, Engines That Move Markets, you'll see that the one who was supposed to win doesn't always win. In fact, very rarely does. And they're little guys who come from nowhere or unexpected. Jeanette's got that lovely saying that it wasn't the candle makers who invented the light bulb. And it is a very real thing, is that often new innovations come from outside the existing field, because in an existing field, you're invested in the current paradigm. So you need to kind of think differently. And often that comes from people outside of your industry. That's why we work really hard at BizNews to try and forget the past, forget what we've always done, forget what seemed to make sense, and try and look at what our community is telling us does make sense today. And don't we, Stu? I mean, we learn every day. We learn all the time.
Yeah, too much. Alex, just quickly, I know we've got to jump off. With Teledyne, are you going to consider that for the Shyft portfolio as well, or is it just on the Ricardo side? That's from Serena, sorry.
See, my problem, Serena, is with a Shyft portfolio, what do we sell? To bring Teledyne in. That's the problem I've got. So definitely, Teledyne will be added, but it'll be added when one of the members of the Shyft portfolio, and it would be in the US side, stops making makes blupses or something. So, and who knows what that could be. We don't know. We don't know what the future is. But it's nice to have a really, really good reserve there. If something goes wrong, if, for instance, we had Nvidia in the Shyft portfolio, it would be quite easy, because I'm worried about, not worried, and this is, please don't misinterpret this. Nvidia is a fantastic company. It's got a fantastic operation, and it's likely to continue doing incredibly well for a long time. However, the share price is priced to absolute perfection. If just the smallest thing goes wrong, if instead of growing at, the street says it's got to grow at 50%, it grows at 43%, even though 43% is unbelievable for most businesses, because it wasn't 50%, they'll knock the share price back. And the alternative to that is, when you price for perfection, how do you grow? How does that share price enhance its value? Not easily. Whereas if you've got a massive competitor that you didn't even know existed, did you know? I didn't know that I didn't even know that Google were working on an alternative to Nvidia, and yet, out of the blues comes its deal with Anthropic. So we need to assess that deal. We need to think about it, and we need to think about what the implications are of that. And if there was always going to be somebody who's going to take on Nvidia, always, and there have been, but those who've taken it on up to now have been, well, they've been small players. They've been wannabes. They haven't been. They would need a lot of support to get anywhere near to Nvidia. Not so much with Alphabet. Alphabet's a big player, and it's got the resources to it's like a heavyweight going into the ring with a heavyweight, not a featherweight coming in there and trying to take him out. And that's the reality of where we are. So for the moment, Teledyne's a good, solid Berkshire Hathaway type stock, excepting somewhere between Berkshire and Palantir. Not quite recognized yet, but in a very good industry, and it makes amazing products. Just go and read about Teledyne. It was started by Singleton, who is the man that Warren Buffett often regards as his business hero. His investing hero was Benjamin Graham, but his business hero, Singleton. And Singleton, who died a long time ago, was a real polymath, a scientist, Air Force pilot, and all kinds of interesting things. And Teledyne still has that DNA, that blueprint. The other one I was looking at, by the way, instead of Teledyne, was Texas Instruments. Texas Instruments is another one that you can go and put into the back of your mind and do a little bit of work on. But Teledyne, to me, is the better bet of the two, especially in the current market conditions.
Excellent. Thank you, Alec. I think we can leave it there. Thanks as always for your time. It's a good hour everyone looks forward to once a month.
Well, and I do too. I apologize for not being that sharp with the easy portfolios, but I'll get there. I'll get better. I just haven't. It's been a heck of a month, Stu, as you know. Wow, it's been busy. So I haven't really been going in there and working through it on a daily basis as I like to. But tonight, the big thing to do tonight is to sell your Nvidia shares in your portfolio, and I showed you how to do that, and to take that money and to buy Teledyne. And that's not difficult to do either. It is buyable, if you like, through the Easy Equities portfolio. And then that means we've now put 20,000 Rand into the Ricardo US dollar portfolio and 20,000 Rand into the Rand portfolio. You remember we'd already put the 20,000 Rand into the Ricardo portfolio first off. We invested 20,000, not 10,000. So I want the two of them. I do a bit of a Magnus and Pitt kind of a contest here. So we've got the Ricardo portfolio dollars and the Ricardo portfolio rands, and we're putting exactly the same amount in every month, and we see how they go. But don't think that every month's going to be like the last month, where we've had our first month's been very good and we've been very strong. Both portfolios up very nicely. You get down months as well as up months. And all we're doing here is we're just reiterating the fact that this is a long-term bet. We are using the power of Rand cost averaging and of compounding. And if you do that in the long term, you take out the risk of not getting your timing right, and then not having the kind of concerns that we had when we started the Shyft portfolio. And I won't say it was sleepless nights, but certainly it was very uncomfortable to be down by 40% after a few months. This way, you're just putting it forward, 10,000 Rand a month in each of the portfolios. And that's what we're doing. And you put in, if you're super wealthy, put in $1 million each a month. But just make sure there's an amount you can put in every month, rather than, you put in $1 million now and then next month you've got nothing to do. So rather, in that case, I'd say, well, 50,000 a month, and you can carry on putting in your 50,000 indefinitely. It's got to be within your comfort zones of what you would invest. But don't be misled. Investing and Rand cost averaging means it's an amount you can allocate, not just a big one-off. Okay, that's what we're doing. Super.
Thank you, Alec, and we'll get the video up onto the YouTube channel for the BizNews Premium members as soon as possible as well.
Magic. And thanks everyone for joining us. It's always a pleasure. Look forward to next month. Cheers.